Welcome to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera.
And I'm your co-host, Maylin Sambois. And today we're super excited. As always, we bring you the best of Columbus and the world. And today we have a dear friend of mine, Kninah. And I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. This is just a snippet of the wonderful person she is. And you'll get to know her more, but I cannot mess this up. So here we go. Kninah is a PMP certified project manager, process improvement consultant, a spiritual seeker, a truth teller, and a cycle breaker. She's raising Amari with intention, that's her son, helping with to understand and navigate his own neurodivergent because she now understands her own. She's making peace with imperfection, reclaiming friendships, deepening bonds with her family, and crafting a life that's hers. She doesn't chase stability, she builds it. She doesn't fear change, she orchestrates it. And her story isn't about what happened to her, it's about what she created from it. Fire.
I love that bio.
Fire.
Thank you.
So good.
I loved it when I read it. So Kninah, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is my first one.
Yes. So I hope that you love it from here on.
Oh, yes.
We want our audience to get to know you a little bit. So would you be able to share a little bit of your upbringing? Where you're from? And eventually how'd you get to PMP?
Oh, girl, it's a journey. And I feel like it was destined to happen. But it's kind of like when somebody gives you the whole plan and then they wipe it from you, but you have the remnants. And so that's how it felt like. Once I look back at my life, I was like, this is what I was supposed to do. So I was born in Columbus, Ohio, to my mother, Karen, and my father, Robert. My dad had two older daughters or three older daughters before us with another marriage. And then me, my sister, and my brother. So we lived in Columbus for like maybe 5 years and then moved to Dayton, Ohio. And that's where I was predominantly raised. So we jumped from like neighborhood to neighborhood. My parents divorced and we went to like live in a little bit of a slummy area. And when I asked my mom, like, girl, you made money, you got child support, why do you have us here? And she said she wanted us to have street smarts and intuition about people and situations, like have that situational awareness. And when she told me that, I was like 14, I'm like, oh, okay, we could have got that anywhere. So went through high school, had a great high school experience. I wouldn't say I was popular, but I was very known by everybody. Like I could jump in and out of any group. And I just collected my friends from elementary school to middle school, and I still have those friends today. So like I really pride myself on being able to retain relationships. High school, big sign. What are you going to do next? I had no plans. I didn't apply to anything. I didn't research anything. My mom was actually going to start her life over in Atlanta. And I'm like, cool, I'll go with you and we can do it together. So I said, Mommy, can I come with you to Atlanta? And she said, no. And I stunned because you're my mother. We were downtown and she happened to drop me off at a recruiting station. There was a line of them, like Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force. She said, pick one, and just left me.
Wow.
Like she dropped me off and was like, pick one. So the first one I went into was Army, and they were talking all their stuff. And I was just like, my mom said I got to go, so sign me up. The day I was supposed to go take my test, this lady came in and she had a really cute uniform on. And I was like, ooh, what's that? And she said, I'm in the Navy. And I was like, is that the same as the Army? She said, oh, honey, no. And she took me over to meet my recruiter in the Navy, and he happens to be very attractive. Like, great smile, all the things. And so I was like, sure, sign me up. Went to boot camp. That was crazy. I'm not used to being pushed like that physically and mentally. Like, they would talk so much crap about us to our faces, and it was very degrading. But then on the other side, I think we had 8 weeks, so 4 weeks was really that intense, like, I won't say abuse, but it was tough. Yes. So 4 weeks in, it was everything. Like, they called me, if you've seen Cousin Daryl, Little Daryl. So it's a character, and he has these huge, thick glasses on that are really, like, thick and making his eyes big. So he used to call me Little Daryl. And because my glasses were so thick, and they called them BC glasses, birth control glasses. That was what I had. So went through that. It was great. You pick 3 places you want to go in the United States and outside. So I picked Hawaii. Like, why not? And they're like, Guam. You get Guam. And I'm like, where's Guam? What is Guam? Look in the map. It's just the words Guam, not even an island because it's so small. So I went there and did that. Like, all of these things were just these moments of impulse and intuition. Like, wasn't making conscious decisions, had no plans, just kind of like, oh, I'm here, I'll do this. Oh, I'm here, I'll do this. And that's really what led me through all the things. Tragedy strikes. I'm being dramatic, but I get diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And that's an autoimmune condition where your body thinks that your healthy cells are germs or bacteria, so it constantly attacks them. And one of the most susceptible areas are your joints and the cartilage in between. So, like, upon diagnosis, I got to the point where my knees were so swollen I couldn't walk. It was hard to bend them. Like, everything was just swollen. So they sent me to Hawaii to figure out what was going on. Went there. They diagnosed me. They're basically like, if you can still do PT, physical training, then you can stay in the Navy. And I couldn't. It's like requiring you to do a certain amount of like push-ups, sit-ups, run miles, do all that stuff. And you got to do it annually. And I'm like, I can't. So I got a medical discharge, came back home. When they discharged me, they said I get no benefits, no education, no medical, nothing. And I'm left with this debilitating condition. And I don't have insurance. I don't have a job. So I didn't have any medication. And so with that, like, you are fatigued, you are sore, your joints are on fire. You can't really do anything because everything's so laborious. So I just stayed at my mom's house for like a year and a half and just like hoped and prayed something would come along or something would hit. And I ended up getting a call from one of my old coworkers at the Dayton Dragons. And she's like, hey, are you looking for a job? And I'm like, did my mama call you? But I was like, yeah, I really need something. So she got me in secretary at Downtown Dayton Partnership, great opportunity. And from there, I jumped into healthcare and just moved everywhere. Like, I started in Columbus, moved to Miami. I had no license. I had no car. I didn't know how to drive. I kept failing my test like 8 times. But when they gave me the offer to Miami, I was like, oh, I got to get a car. Oh, I got to get a license. So that weekend, I went and got one of those teachers that just teach you. And we just spent all day Friday doing it and just working on it. And I took my test Saturday, got my license.
Hey.
And then I saw a guy online that's in our Facebook group, and he sells cars. And I was like, I'm going to come see you. Saw him, got the car, packed up my apartment, and drove down to Miami.
Wow.
Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah, all of that. And so what I'll say is a lot of these points that were a breaking point or a pace that I didn't have a decision or didn't have an opportunity or anything that I was going to do, there was always a woman to intervene. And it was so like serendipitous from the standpoint that I'm thinking these things, I'm not vocalizing them, but I'm just in this state. And someone would contact me or someone would reach out to me or someone would just say, you know, I got an extra bedroom, you don't have to pay rent. Oh, thank you, God. And one lady really transformed my entire life. When I moved down to Miami, I'm thinking, my salary is going to do what it does in Ohio. I'll be fine.
Miami?
Girl, no, it did not happen. So I was broke, and I could only eat at the VA cafeteria because they charged on your expense for work, so they take it out of your check. So that's where I was eating my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, that's it. And I told my friend, I said, I need a job because I can't figure this out. She said, girl, you better get your disability. And I was like, they said I don't qualify. So she said, we'll see about that. Went to this guy. He looked at my health record. He's like, I can get you 75%, and that's 75% service connected, meaning your disability was attributed or exaggerated by military service. He sent it in. I got 90% off rip.
Amen.
And that's a monthly benefit that you get for the rest of your life, and you get all your health care paid.
Amen.
Like,
Lord.
prayer was answered. Then I found out I had osteoarthritis in my left hip. And I'm like, no, come on. What are we doing? And they're like, you have to have your hip replaced. And I was 24 at the time.
Wow.
And I had to have my hip replaced. And I'm like, I don't have a support system. I can't get this done. I'm going to have to move home. So I moved home, resubmitted my claim because the hip replacement was due to medication the VA was prescribing. Got my hip replacement. They submitted my claim. It was 100% service-connected disability, permanent and total, meaning I don't have to go back for reevaluation. It's not something that's going to get better, so they're just going to anticipate all the things. And then this started my Columbus journey, and those are the questions we can get into because Columbus is where I really transformed.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, quite a journey.
Right.
For sure. And it's very interesting that the like the military, like the beginning of how when you got there and you had to go to Hawaii and they just discharged you and wasn't willing to help you initially. And I find it very disappointing the more veterans that I meet. Oftentimes, even like we've been to Hawaii, we've been to Hawaii before.
And we love it.
And when I came out the airport, the amount of homelessness that I saw, because you think Hawaii, you think this beautiful island, which it is a beautiful island, but the devastation when you see how many people are living in tents and homelessness. And oftentimes I meet a lot of homeless people that are veterans. And
Absolutely.
it just is
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense that, folks choose to serve this country. And then something happens or, whether it's medical or they leave the military and then you don't find support. And then they're just out on their own, stuck. And so talk to us a little bit about, you've mentioned that over the years you felt that you've always had a woman just kind of appear in different seasons of your life and support you. And, I would love to learn more about what are you doing now in this season and how are women or how are you as a woman now showing up in similar spaces?
Yeah, that's such a great question because when it was happening, I thought it was just like, oh, people are being nice to me. And for my whole life, I've always thought something was off about me, like maybe I wasn't quite getting it, like I would get jokes late or not at all, or somebody would say something, I would take the reference completely different. Ends meet is one of them.
Oh my God.
I thought ends meet was a meal because people were saying I'm having a hard time making ends meet.
It's an inside joke because...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I would think that was a meal. So I was like in my 20s and somebody said it the right way. And I was like, oh, ends meet, like come together.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, what is this ends meet? Is it expensive? Is it cheap? You can't make it? I need to make it. But like that would always be the thing that would make me feel like I'm a little off. But these women would gravitate to me and they would just see this brilliance in me. And I'm just like, oh, she thinks I'm smart. Like just as simple as that. Like she's giving me a little pat on the head. I'll take it. But the first woman was this great woman in Miami, Darlene. And I worked with her. That's how I met her. We had no previous relationship. But every time we saw each other, it was like, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. And it was immediate connection. And she was the one that offered me a room after the temporary place that I was at was unavailable anymore. And she was like, oh, girl, you can come stay with me. I have an extra room. You just pay this for rent and you're fine. And in Miami, what she was asking me to pay, was heaven sent. So that was the first part, because especially in Miami, I was alone. I didn't have any friends or family. I didn't realize how dependent I was on my social network. And I was really depressed. I don't know what depression was, but I knew that I just wasn't me. So she was the first blessing, just like, boom, here you go. The next woman, her name is Dietrich. She was a project manager at Nationwide Children's working on a contract. And I was working there as a senior administrative assistant for the school-based health program. And so I helped support some of the projects we were doing. And I was always just asking her, can I help? Can I help? Because one of my tendencies is to get into a job, master it really quickly, and look for something else. I'm never the person that will say, my job's done, hands up. I'm like, what can I do now? What can I do now? So I supported her a lot in requirements development, holding meetings, taking meeting minutes, following up with clients and stakeholders. And once she left the contract, she was like, have you ever thought about being a project manager? And I was like, what is that? And she was like, she told me all the things. And it's organizing, taking notes, keeping everybody on time and on schedule. And I was like, oh, I get to tell people what to do. I love it so much. So I got into that and I thrived. It was just like a fish to water. I didn't even know the tools, and there's so many tools and methodologies and processes, but it all felt like it was just common sense. This is what you would do with anything. You can't just jump in here and say, I want a house without talking about requirements and scope and details and out of scope and who's going to do what and when and why. You need all of that. And so to be the facilitator of that information gathering, it was I'm the conduit of all of that. And I can organize things really quickly in my mind. So I don't even need to reference something. It's just boom, boom, boom. So she got me there. I moved with her to another company. And as an admin, got in as an admin. Within 3 years, I was a process improvement and quality lead. And the 2 positions they created for me to get there, operational account coordinator, it was because I was operating in the middle. And they didn't have a role where you transition projects from integration into operations. There wasn't a liaison between. And I started acting like that even though it wasn't official. So that role creation, process improvement and quality lead, was just like everything that I like to do, process, documentation, and quality, making sure things are efficient and timely, and a lead. Come on, I'm leading the pack. Love it. So I went there, and Cover My Meds reached out to me on LinkedIn, and they were saying they had an opportunity as a project manager, like official title. I'm like, I don't have a PMP. They're like, that's fine. Got there, really got deep into the culture there and the work there, and picked up some strong technical skills. I jumped into some projects I didn't know nothing about, not a thing. And within 3 weeks, I got our team back on track with the standard template. All the tasks were defined. We were ready to go. And I'm like, Starship. I had also met this woman named Yaquan. She was my coach for Lean Six Sigma, and she met with me and was like, oh my God, you're really smart. Like, if you want to do something together, let me know. And she's like this consultant and Lean Six Sigma coach. And I'm like, I don't know what I can do with you, but I would love to help. And she ended up calling me like 6 months later, like, do you want to help me do a process improvement activity for this company? It was like a well-known company. And it was like, what am I supposed to do? She was like, just do what you do. She wasn't prescriptive. She wasn't setting any guide rails. She said, just do what you do. Get on the call, talk to them, find out the problems, and say how you would fix them. And that's just what I did. I met with 5 people, talked about the problems, saw all of the errors. It just like in a roadmap, you see all of the things like error, saw all those things, identified the impact of them, understood what needed to happen to resolve them, and understanding the financial impact of them all came in my brain just like boom, boom, boom. Presented to the company, they're blown away. They love it because they've had other companies come and try to fix it. And, I met with a couple people and was like, this is your problem. And we resolved it. And that first experience really let me know that I know what I'm talking about and I'm good at it. Like, in my mind, I'm just like, I'm going to say this and see if it fits. Mm-hmm. And I said all the things and people are like, yeah, we never thought of it that way. And I'm like, you like that? What about this? And I just kept going.
Let me have more.
Yeah. It was just that experience. And it was just other Black women on the way. Like, they always just saw me. Like, people engage with me a lot, but they see me and they're like, don't let that die. Don't let that light out. Don't just be complacent. Don't get satisfied with a no, because like there's yeses all the way behind it. But if you stop at that no, you miss all your yeses. And I was like,
that's a shirt.
Oh, no. Yeah, you can't stop at no. So that was just like that experience. And now I'm always just open to relationships with people. Like, just somebody saying, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee? Like, before I'd be like, what are they going to talk about? Do they know me? Do I need to say something? What am I going to do? And so now I just go to coffee and see where it goes. So now being more impulsive in an intentional way, like true engagement, is what has really filled my cup to overflow. Like, yeah.
I love You're that. Open.
I'm very open.
You're like impulsive. I like that she's open.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Open.
I'm very open. Like, even our trip that we went on for the yoga retreat, that's how we met. I had just said to Ibeliz, the lady that was hosting it, and she's another one of my Black girls that helped me. And I said, oh, I want to go. She said, oh, I'm sorry, the last ticket sold. And I was like, dang. Well, if somebody like drops out, let me know. January, she was like, somebody dropped out. I don't know if you can come up with $1,500 real quick to like come to the trip. I'm like, girl, I got it. I don't even know what happened. I think I was doing consulting and it just stacked some money. I was like, I got it. And I got a plane ticket. And because it was COVID, it was cheap. Didn't know anybody on that trip but her. And I only knew her as my son's teacher at school. Knew nothing about her. And since I met her and you guys, my world, again, big shift. Like, if you make those 5 increment shifts, this was like 20. Like, we're talking moving the dial. And that was one of those moments.
That was a fun trip.
Yeah.
That was a very, I think, impulsive trip, too. Yeah. It was 2021, right? And I remember Tiffany actually told me about it. And I was like, yeah, girl, you should go. And I think I signed up before Tiffany. I was like, I don't know how it's going to come, Jesus, but I is going. Because that was such a rough season right before that for me. And I think for many of us, it was like that trip was just combobulated with people overcoming certain things. And it just made sense to go to this yoga retreat where I did mostly child pose, which is my favorite pose.
Girl, she was asleep.
That is child pose.
That's her favorite
they call it sleep. I call it child pose, AKA. But it was such a good trip because it helped us really like open our mind to many things and kind of shatter some things that we were experiencing.
Yes, for sure.
And the stories that we were being told. Oh. So I think it was a very life-changing trip. And I'm grateful because sometimes you question, should I take a trip? Yes. Should I do something? Sometimes it doesn't look right on paper, right? And
like,
you're like,
it don't look right in the bank account.
It sure don't.
Like, these numbers ain't doing what I need them to do.
The math ain't mathing. I'm like, but I is going.
Yes. And you do have to take that leap on faith. Like, there have been times where my bank account isn't where it needs to be, but I have an opportunity. And it's like, okay, so if I move this 20 here and I pull this 10 here, I got 30. I need 10 more for parking. And I just make it happen. Like finding a 10 in my pocket, just like cleaning out my room, just money, just carelessly all over the place. And I'm like, I can do this now. And not only does it doesn't always result in meeting people, but seeing other people in the space that you want to occupy makes it so much more tangible and just like, this is possible. Like, these aren't geniuses in here, but they're witty and they're smart and they're clever. Like, cleverness is an underrated skill set because it's not just about being like clever, haha, I got you, but clever from the standpoint that you can be very curious about what you're doing and take it so far out. Like, what would happen if? And that's what I always think about. Like, what would happen if? And if it's something that isn't going to hurt me, physically, like even financially, it might hurt me, but if physically, I'm still going to take the leap. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. Other times I'm like, why did I do that?
But it was a lesson learned either way.
Either way.
I
always learn stuff.
I love that. So you're kind of a YOLO. Would you say you're a YOLO kind of person?
Oh, a whole lot YOLO.
Okay, because that's the vibes I'm getting.
Yes.
And what I think is so critically important, because I made a note, you were talking about a few different things. And oftentimes, especially a lot of research shows that women are we're usually risk, we don't take as much risk.
Risk averse.
Yes, risk averse. And hearing a lot of the things that you were like, no, I just went, or no, I just pulled up, or no, I just moved some money around. And I love that because I think that sometimes you can get so in your head about, I don't have it all mapped out. I don't have enough money, or I don't even know these women, like, do I pay for a trip that I only know one person and there's going to be 6 to 10? Because I know I've been invited and I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I'm not going. Yeah. And what I love and I think is so refreshing, especially as we get in different seasons of our lives, we've talked about this in previous episodes, that sometimes it can feel like it's harder to find your circle. You mentioned earlier how important that was for you and having that social network and that kind of like that inner community, like friendships. And as you get older, it tends to feel like that's a harder space to be in because you either have limited time or you're still learning yourself. I think, who we were in our 20s and who we are today are very different women.
Thank God.
Yes. Oh God, that girl was wild.
Listen.
I love that you said that because, like, what happens with community is that's where you are you and everybody sees you and knows you. And kind of with neurodivergency, there's a lot of things they call masking where you can't do the things that you normally do to either process things or kind of like quiet your nervous system. Like if you're too overstimulated, like there may things that I'm doing where I'm just like doing stuff with my hands or I'm fidgeting or like I'll interrupt people because I need to get this thought out before I forget it. And when you learn all those things that you have to do, it helps you because you're in a controlled space, but it also controls you. It limits you a lot. And so there's a lot of times with people that I don't know that I would be very reserved. I would be quiet. I would be like this. But people who know me are like, girl, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, we're fine. Everything's fine.
Like, really?
Yeah. They're like, something's up with Kninah. And then once I'm around my community, then that all comes out again. Like exuberance, just jumping in and having conversations, asking the questions, or saying the dumb thought like, is that what that means? All of that stuff can come out and it just creates so much like fragments and textures and just all these things that vibe together. And you can't recreate that. You can't even like curate that. Like, I'm going to put this person with this person. No, you can't do it.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Because I only really knew Tiffany.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of just met Ivelisse, I think, through Tiffany. Yeah. And I was like, like, I don't know who's going. I had no list. I didn't look at the thing.
Yep.
I usually don't look at emails when it comes to like, this is what is going. I'll be like, just tell me where to show up.
She just wants to know how much and what are the days.
What time do I show up? What's the
craziest thing.
Yes.
I feel like you didn't read the email.
That's right. No, not at all.
No, because whatever it is going to happen.
I'm going to get there. It's going to happen. And I remember seeing you and Tiffany.
I love her.
Okay. I remember seeing you and Tiffany at the airport because you go and there's like, there are 5 people on the flight with you that are coming to the trip.
That's what the chat was saying.
Yeah, the chat was like, 5 of you are on the same flight. And so I'm like,
who is it?
Are you on the flight?
Are you on the flight? So the first girl I walked up to was Bree, Tierra. Shout out to my boo.
Hey, girl.
And I walked up to her and I was asking all these questions. And you know how Tierra is. She's just so conversational and pleasant. She's like, well, I don't know. I'm just going over here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to follow you. So she ended up sitting next to me. Like her seat was booked next to me. And I was like, are you going on the retreat? And she was like, yes. And then we were connecting, but she was like, I don't want to sit next to people because I just want to lay down. I was like, mad respect. So she went to another row, but it was just the fact that immediately she was the first person I talked to. Turned out she was coming on the trip. Turned out we were seated next to each other. That was destiny. Like, even if I didn't talk to her first, follow her through the airport, we was going to sit together.
Absolutely.
And it was going to be that. So it was just amazing that I was just following the breadcrumbs.
And that she advocated for what she needed at the moment, knowing what we know.
Yes.
Like, that was fire.
That was
right?
so dope. And
it was a guy and girl trip. So
yeah.
I don't know that I pay attention also to that part, but it was a yoga retreat and we have males and females in that trip. And it was amazing, the synergy and the people. And even people that I knew in the community, because I didn't know Malik like that. Like, I knew Malik, but I didn't know Malik.
Yeah.
And getting to know Malik at the trip was such a gift because sometimes, even now in the community, you know these people. You see them at events, and you can may say hi at a high, surface level conversation, but then you happen to be in a room for deeper connection. And that happened to a couple CEOs here in some other retreats that I've done.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, oh, like, this is who you are. And it goes to show that sometimes you don't get to really know people until you have the opportunity to really have conversations and even know that you are all facing similar things.
Yes.
Right.
But social media doesn't show that. And I think it's important for us to have those opportunities. We love retreats. I think sometimes I hear the word retreat and I block out everything else.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I just heard retreat and I'm like, I miss going, right?
We could go there and garden.
Right.
I don't care.
Girl, listen, I showed up at a meditation retreat. I only heard retreat again. And I thought it was maybe like a yoga retreat.
Yeah.
So I showed up and it was meditation time. I was late, of course. It was in New York. And I come in and then I read the agenda because I didn't read it beforehand. And it was like, yeah, this is a meditation retreat. I said, oh, like quiet retreat. I mean, I've been praying for this. I've been wanting to get more into meditation. I didn't know I had signed up for it.
Oh, girl.
But I believe that I got what I have asked for. And I was very grateful for the opportunity.
That's
right.
amazing.
I also slept a lot.
Yes.
There.
Quiet.
And what I love about this space is, guys, if we ever do a retreat, when we do our retreats, we will not judge you because I'm a big not judging.
Yep.
I'm sure we're going to have really fun things in there too. But I love that in every space that I've been able to grant the opportunity to go, the facilitators understand more than I think we do. That maybe for you, what you need is to meditate. For you is to do the yoga thing. But for me, because of my story, I needed to rest because maybe I didn't feel safe in other spaces to rest. But there, the space was provided. So they always used to pull me to the side and say, do what you need to do because like, they feel my energy. They're like, I need you to do what you need to do. And don't worry about the rest or anybody else. And that to me was always so special because I didn't feel judged.
Yes.
I could just be me and I can just let my body rest. That needed it so much because I was going.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll burn you out.
Right.
It will burn you out. And you said something earlier, Maylin, that I would love to circle back to. You said, like, when you run into people in different spaces, different CEOs. And I think oftentimes we forget to humanize people, just because you are a CEO, because you are a mom, because you are, whatever your
Congresswoman.
Your official title is. Yeah. It's like, to your earlier point as well, you said, 'cause sometimes like you do feel like you have to be confined, like when I'm in certain settings, I'm not able to, in my mind, I don't feel that level of comfort that I could, do certain things or, and because it's just like people will judge you.
Yes.
Or people will, they want you to be in this box and everything has to be kumbaya and everything has to be, and I believe in the ability to like develop over time, but then there becomes so much pressure to constantly have to be on
that energy
all the time, and it's just like we forget that people are human at the end of the day,
for sure.
And when you see folks, at their worst moments or at their best moments, like we're still people at the end of the day. And I love that you both kind of said it in different ways. You were talking about you ran into these people like, oh, what are you doing here? And it's like, well, they wanted to hang out too.
Literally shocked,
like you're here.
Yes.
That's how I feel when I run into people at like, I don't go out. Like, I don't go at all. But it's as often. But like when I go to anything social or like I remember like a couple years ago, I went to like some happy hour event and there was people that everybody's like hiding in different corners. Like you almost didn't want to be seen. Like when you're younger, you want to be seen. You want the world to know like I'm in the VIP. I'm here. But
bottle
I feel like service. You're on Facebook Live. Like, I'm in the club. Now you're just like, just sit me in the
corner,
table
somewhere
soft
to sit.
Yes.
A dark corner.
Yes. Because you can't just be able to, you can't relax. People are looking at you. They're like, who's she here with? Who is she talking to? What's she just drink? How many? Was that her third drink?
Yes.
Like
they're counting your
time. It's just too much pressure. And I think as women, we put so much pressure on ourselves, but the society also puts so much pressure on us as women. And it's just like, I would love to kind of hear your thoughts even on like, how do you have a system or a mechanism for how you're carving out that space and that time to be able to rejuvenate or to be able just to pause and say, listen, I just need to be free for a period of time. What does that look like for you?
I'm so glad you asked that because I've been in therapy for about a year and I've been working on a lot of different things. We started with EMDR, where it's that bilateral stimulation when you go through traumatic events. And now we're on an area, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially you are learning to operate in a space where you would want to control it with no control. Like you are willing to go into a space that you know is going to trigger you and you know things are going to happen. And you are already saying, I'm going to let it be whatever it is. Kind of stepping in as the observer of the space. And what I've found mostly is that I'm observing myself. I'm observing my thoughts. I'm observing the tension in my body. And I'm getting curious and saying, like, why did that irritate me? Why does that bug me? And I'm so caught up in the dialogue of that. The moment is passing. It's no longer bothering me. But it allows me to get this, like, good record of who I am. And so at the end of the day, I get to reflect on those wins, those spaces that I know would have triggered me, that would have had me, like, blowing a lid. I would have been calling people. I would have did a TikTok. I had content for days on a trip to Walmart. Like, I was ready to go. But I observed everything that I was doing to myself and doing in that moment. And I took it back. And even in that moment, it wasn't this whole like Zen vibe, like candles and incense and all of that. But just the drive home, I had the biggest smile on my face because I could reflect on myself, my current state and my past state, and I could see the growth. And if I were to tell somebody that, like, I didn't get mad, they would be like, okay, good job. But I'm like, for me, that's detrimental. Like, when I get into that space, I would always say, like, oh, I'm a 24-hour girl. Like, it takes me 24 hours to get over a thing. That's not normal. Like, to be holding on to something 24 hours and allowing yourself to do it, you're just basically resigning to be upset for 24 hours. What if that happens at 8? Like, you going all day? So now that I don't have that, I have so much more space and time to enjoy my thoughts and not try to rid myself of them, control them, use them as ammunition or like just as a track record of all my deficiencies. Like, I don't do that anymore. And I used to look at situations or things when I did something like, oh my God, did you say that? You're so stupid. I can't believe you did that. Or, what were you wearing, girl? That doesn't even go together. Like those 2 shades of lipstick. What? And I would do that after every event, which would make me not want to go out. But now that I don't do that, because I don't care, like not in a don't care, like take me as I am, whatever. But really, like I don't care because it doesn't matter and nobody's paying attention to me. Like, see, we're all in dark corners. I'm in my dark corner, you in your dark corner. We disrespecting the space.
Right.
So nobody's thinking about me. And I love it. Before I used to be like, nobody's thinking about me. Like, I'm forgotten. Middle child syndrome. I'm lost in the middle. Nobody sees me. Now I'm like, ain't nobody checking for me. I can go to the store in a one-piece pajama set with a hood on, get what I need to do and go. Like, I don't have to get dolled up. I don't have to do all these things. So, like, to answer your question, it really is embarking on this journey of discovery where there's no destination in mind. There's not a place. There's not a person. I want to get to this. I want to be this size. I want to have this hair. I want to have this skin. I am not tracking any of it. And in those spaces, all this stuff is happening. Like my skin's been getting clear. My hair is coming in on the edges because you got to get your edges. It's all happening. And it's because I'm not focusing on it.
That's so interesting because as a project manager, you're very detailed.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like you have found the sweet spot of being able to separate who you are or what you do for a living versus who you are and how you want to live your life.
That's so true.
And I think there's power in that to be able to say like, okay, at work, I'm going to be extremely detailed. I need to know this, I need to know that. But in everyday life, you are saying like, no, like I'm not going to put that level of pressure on myself every single day.
No.
I got to figure out who that therapy person is because I've been mad at certain things for years and I need to let that go. Like,
and it's funny because once you start doing it,
for years.
You'll be in a moment and you'll just either tap your legs back and forth, like be in the moment and tap your legs or tap your feet or whatever, and it still happens. Like it's now a subconscious way to kind of quiet my nervous system because over influence or over exaggerated nervous system is what makes you do things impulsively. And so being able to regulate myself by myself and not relying on somebody else to regulate me has been the biggest superpower because like I would have to talk me down. We gotta go get a drink, like all of these things to influence myself when it's really just in here and I just have to decide to not care about it or not be mad about it. And to your point of separating the two things, that was my biggest struggle because when I lean into an identity, because I have many, when I lean into identity, I feel like I have to be that everywhere and it doesn't fit everywhere.
Right.
But then it was like, well, I can't be that, so I'll just be this. So I'm gonna try to be fun at work. That doesn't work because then they don't respect me.
Right.
How can I do all these things? And it turned into a kaleidoscope of myself. Whereas every time you turn the thing, that red is no longer the core thing. It's still there, but it's not the core color. And you see all these other colors come in and all these other layers of yourself. And now I'm able to put the dial, like pull the dial. We're going to be a little funny and witty today because it's Friday. We are going to be on the ball on Monday because we need to get this done. I'm going to be collaborative with you because I can't just tell you what to do. I need to work with you. So being able to pull in all of the pieces of me and all the parts that I tried to hide or minimize is like, that's the strength and power that I walk in, even if I don't know which one I need. Like, I know that I'm going to have the intuition to call on something and it'll just flow for me.
I love that.
Me too.
Now, I know we have to take a break for this first episode because the second episode, I do want to talk about some of the hard things in your life that you have overcome here in Columbus.
Yeah.
How you kind of overcame that, big hurdle that you had in a relationship, but then also how you went from that into getting into PMP because that was a big, like we were in a chat and we're like, whoa, she got a whole certificate. Girl. So, I feel like that's important because some people are kind of analyzing to your point, like, well, I didn't get this and I didn't do this in my life and I would like to do that, but I don't even know how to get started. Yeah. And I think you have some really great insight that you could share to help someone that's a little stuck right now.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
How we get you unstuck, okay?
I love that.
In the next episode, we're going to get you unstuck. All right, so come back. And we always end our episode. So at the end of every episode, we always say it's bigger than you. So I count us off, 1, 2, 3, and then we together say it's bigger than you.
Okay.
So ready? 1, 2, 3.
It's bigger than you.
Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.